Have you ever stopped to think about what exactly you're carrying right now? I'm not just talking about groceries, to-do lists, or the kids' backpacks. I'm talking about the invisible weight. You're waking up before everyone else just to have a moment of peace. You're trying to do your job while monitoring messages from school. You're planning dinner, thinking about how to pay the bill that just arrived, worried about whether your kids are happy, whether you're a good enough mom. And deep down, there's that silent question every mother knows. Does God really see all of this? Does He really care? Here's the truth that can change everything for you. God doesn't just see, He is literally inside your boat. Not from a distance, not somewhere far away, inside. And when He's inside, even chaos obeys. Maybe you're here today precisely because you feel like you're sinking. And that's exactly where we need to start. Because I want you to know that over the next few minutes, we're going to explore 5 practical steps that have transformed how women like you navigate this crazy life as a Christian mother. These aren't magic solutions. They're tools you can start using today. And the best part? They all come from a principle so deep in Scripture that it literally changes how you breathe. If you're feeling like you need this conversation, I want you to subscribe to this channel and share this video with a friend you know is also rowing in the dark. Because this message isn't meant for you to keep to yourself. It's meant to be planted. Let's start with something nobody likes to hear. When you follow Jesus, the sea doesn't automatically become calm. You've read that story in Mark 4, right? The disciples are in the boat with Jesus. It's not like they're alone, no. Jesus is literally there. And yet, a terrible storm rises. A storm that terrifies them. And where is Jesus? Sleeping. You know what's most disturbing? They were obeying. They had crossed the sea because He asked. They were exactly where they should have been. And the storm came anyway. I see you in that boat. You're trying to do everything right. You're putting the kids to bed on time. You're working with excellence at the office, or at home, or both, which is practically impossible. You read the Bible when you can grab 5 minutes between one thing and another. You pray, and still, the waves come. A crisis in your marriage, your health shaken, the exhaustion that won't stop, that feeling you're failing at everything a little bit. Here's the revealing point. Those storms don't mean you're outside God's will. Quite the opposite. Often the storm is exactly where God speaks the loudest. It's not His absence. It's His presence being revealed. The mother who understands this, that rough waters don't indicate abandonment, but presence. She gains something precious that most women are desperate to get. She gains real hope, not the plastic hope from motivational movies, the hope that holds when everything collapses. And it's that kind of hope that prepares you for the next step. Here's what fascinates me about those disciples. They didn't wake Jesus up just to have Him near. They cried out, "Master, don't you care if we drown?" That's not polite conversation. That's a scream. And you know who that reminds me of? You, the woman who has so much to carry that she forgot how to make noise. Because here's the uncomfortable truth. How many storms do you try to solve alone before you call for help? How many times do you reorganize the house, fix your life, try to be stronger, try to be more organized? All of that before you stop and cry out to God? I know a mother who said she started praying differently when she gave herself permission to stop. She was in the kitchen, that place where most moms end up, surrounded by dishes, thinking about everything that needed to be done. And she just stopped, didn't finish, just stopped, and spoke out loud to God exactly how she was feeling. I can't do this anymore. That cry, that awkward and raw prayer, was the moment everything started to change. Because crying out isn't weakness. Crying out is clarity. It's you finally admitting you weren't created to carry this alone. It's you looking at the boat and saying to the only one who can calm the chaos, "I need you." And here's the beauty of it. Christ rises when that cry goes up. Not because your prayer wakes Him. He's never really sleeping. But because He chose to respond to the sincere heart. He rises, and the wind changes direction. When you learn to cry out instead of just fighting, something silent and profound begins to happen in your chest. And it's that something that opens the door to the next step. After Christ speaks, "Peace, be still," in Mark 4:39, and the storm obeys, there's that moment of silence in the boat. Can you imagine it? Can you feel the difference between the deafening roar of the waves and that sudden calm? That's what happens when you receive the peace Christ offers. But here's the part that changes everything. That peace doesn't mean the problems disappeared. The disciples are still wet. The boat is still swaying a little. The damage is still there. But something inside them shifted completely. I see this in mothers who discover this. The routine doesn't get lighter. The kids still wake up early. Work is still demanding. The bills still arrive. But the heart gains a different rhythm. It's like, in the middle of all that constant noise, a silent song emerges that only you can hear. A whisper that says, "He's still here. He hasn't left you." And that peace, this peace that doesn't make sense to those on the outside, it starts to govern how you respond to everything. The mother who used to explode easily discovers she can breathe a little deeper before answering. The one who lived worried finds a thread of hope, even without seeing immediate change. The mom who thought she was weak feels strength coming from a place she knows isn't her own. Because Christ's peace isn't the absence of storm. It's the presence within the storm. It's the certainty that you're not adrift. And when you really start living from that peace, when you truly receive it, you discover it changes not only how you see the chaos, but how you live inside it. It's at this point that you gain strength for the next step. There's a moment in the Gospels that almost goes unnoticed. After the storm is calmed, Jesus asks his disciples a rather uncomfortable question. "Why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith?" From Mark 4:40. It's not condemnation. It's a challenge to them, and to you, to think about something. Why are you still letting circumstances dictate how your heart functions? You know that feeling? You wake up well, you're ready for the day, you opened the Bible and felt connected with God. And then, an hour later, something happens. A child gets sick, your boss sends a message, your husband comes home upset, and all that peace you built this morning collapses. Here's what mothers who transformed their lives discovered. You can stop being governed by the next wave. This doesn't mean you won't feel. You will. You'll be frustrated when the kids argue. You'll be worried when someone gets sick. You'll be disappointed when things don't work out as planned. The feeling is real, but the feeling doesn't define who's in the boat. Christ is still there, and you start letting that be more real than any wave that rises. When you stop reacting automatically to circumstances and start reacting based on what you know to be true about God, that He is faithful, that He sees you, that He will never abandon any of His daughters, something flips. The external chaos continues to exist, but it loses the power to govern your interior. The mother who learns this doesn't become a woman without emotions. She becomes a woman whose emotions don't control her. It's the difference between being a leaf that gets tossed by the wind and being a tree with deep roots. And it's when you gain those roots, when you stop letting the next problem redefine who you are, that you're ready to discover how to maintain this over time. So now you're in peace. The storm passes, and then comes that dangerous question: how long will it last? Because the truth is, another storm will appear. It's not pessimism, it's biblical realism. You're going to face other sleepless nights with sick kids, other financial struggles, other disappointments, other moments when life is hard. Perseverance doesn't mean never giving up. It means continuing to walk with the same certainty, even when circumstances have changed again. The disciples had already seen Jesus calm the storm. And yet, you know what happens next in the Gospels? They face others, new storms, new fears. But they already know something you can know too. Jesus never abandons any of His own. The mother who perseveres isn't the one without storms. She's the one who learned that if the Master's boat arrived, so will hers. This changes how you pray. You keep asking for help, but not with that desperation of someone who thinks they'll be abandoned. You pray with the tone of someone counting down the minutes to something you already know will happen. You keep opening God's Word, even if it's just 5 minutes in the car while you take the kids to school. You keep seeking inspiration, even when you feel empty. You keep getting up in the morning, even if you're still tired. And, this is important, you stop doing these things because you need to prove something to God. You do them because you already know the truth. God has proven His faithfulness in 1,000 ways. You're simply continuing in confidence. Your children see this. Your husband sees this. Your entire home feels it when the mother stops living in fear and starts living in certainty. Because perseverance isn't tired fighting. It's a safe path. It's you knowing where you're going. And even if the sea remains unpredictable, you carry one conviction. No boat that sails with Jesus will ever sink. He is faithful to bring every daughter safely to port. And with that certainty, you keep trusting, breathing peace, even as the waves keep coming. So now you know this. You know Christ is in the boat. You know you can cry out. You know you can receive real peace. You know that external chaos doesn't have to govern your interior. You know you can persevere with confidence. but knowing is not the same as living. So let me ask you a question you need to answer honestly. What's screaming louder in your life right now? Is it the wind, or is it the voice of Jesus? Because you can spend more time worried about the storm than connected with the one who calms it. You can keep rowing alone while he's there, waiting to lead you. And here's the invitation. Don't keep this truth to yourself. Because there's another woman, maybe your best friend, maybe someone you passed on the street, who is rowing in the dark right now, and she needs to hear that she's not adrift. So share this video. And before you go, tell me, what storm are you facing right now? What area of your heart is still trying to row alone? Write it in the comments. Because when you share, other women find courage. When you're vulnerable, you give permission for someone else to be too. And of course, if this conversation touched your heart, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because there's so much more here for you. There are devotionals for when you wake up at 3 in the morning. There are messages for when you're in the car and feel like you're about to break. There's a community of women in the same boat, rowing together, discovering they're not alone. You weren't created to carry all of this alone. You were created to live in confidence. And I want to walk with you in this.